Hey guys, so in this video we are going to talk about transactions. You must be like, if you know Postgres and you work with Postgres and everything, then you'll be like, interesting topic, but if it's first time for you, it's exciting topic because I'm going to automate a lot of your manual work just by talking about transactions. You might be thinking, how? Well, let me tell you. So what are transactions first of all? Okay, so transactions are nothing. Transactions are a block of queries, okay, that all either succeed or all fail. That's it. So it's just two scenarios, okay. So for example, you have a situation where you might want to three queries, and you want all the three queries to succeed, and in the you started writing queries and everything, right? And what happened, the third query fails. First two, for example, you have a three, you have some sort of a database management system where it's pretty critical, for example, the financial system you have, and you have sort of need to update three records. For example, you just update the purchase history in the user's profile, as well as purchase history in the actually product profile, and then you actually do the transaction, where which user purchased which item, right? And you were able to successfully update the purchase history of user and purchase history of product, but you were not able to somehow a query fails where you are actually trying to put on actual transaction where the user purchased this item and paid this much amount in advance. So what happens? Well, as you know, it goes down, right? So to avoid that, we have something called transactions. So what transactions does is, you have to actually create a block. Inside the transaction block, you write all the queries, okay? Now in case of third query will fail, right, you can literally just do rollback on transaction. So transaction will take care of all the updates that it did, right? It'll actually go back to the previous version. So if it inserted some new rows, it'll actually delete it automatically, so you don't need to worry about any of that. Literally, it's so good. Even if for example, if you don't use transactions, right, then you might have to do everything manually, where if in case of any query fails, you have to actually go back and delete those records and stuff like that, right? I mean, come on, man, that's kind of like not so cool. So that's why the concept of transaction is here. Transaction is nothing, it's a block inside where you write all the query. When all the queries become successful, you do transaction.commit. In case of any error, you do transaction.rollback. That is it. Everything else is same. Okay, so let's not talk about theory more, and I'll just give you a small example so you guys have a little bit of idea. So how to create transaction in Go. Okay, transaction or transaction error is equal to, it's very simple, db.begin. When you do db.begin, it will actually open up the transactions. Okay, let me just check error very fast. Make sure you check all the errors, guys, because that's really important. Debugging is really important. Make right, because we were not open to able the transaction open the transactions, so that's why we are waiting, because we need transaction, and it'll be a rare scenario that you won't be able to open the transaction. Or remember, it's pretty simple. Whenever you write the query on db, right, instead of write the query on transaction, that's it. Every query that works on db will work on transaction. Why? Because it's like a block, right? But it's actually a part of db only. So all the queries that I taught you in the last few videos, right, you can literally write all those queries on tx. Okay, now what you do, for example, see, I'm trying to update the price, right? And what if the error occurs in here? So what I'm going to do is transaction dot rollback. So I'm just going to say, if I made any change during these transactions, right, for example, sorry, if I made any change during this transaction, just please roll back everything, just remove everything, whatever updates that I did. Okay, but yes, if I am successful, then please commit the transaction. Remember, don't forget to commit the transaction, okay? Otherwise it won't affect and it'll keep the connection open and it'll cause a memory leak or connection leak. You don't want that. So remember, this is really useful feature, but you need to use it with responsibility, okay? So this is how transaction works. You open the transaction by db.begin and do everything on top of the transaction. You don't do db.query, no, you do tx.query on everything. So tx.model id, right? So currently what I'm doing is I'm actually updating one. So let's just try to I'll just copy this. Okay, and I'll just try to paste this. Okay, now what I'm trying to show you is two version of the particular thing. Okay, update error 2 2. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm trying to update, maybe let me check what I should update. I should update with that, is active. Okay, so I'm updating the price and then I'm updating is active. It should. Remember one thing, you don't need two queries to do the updates, okay? For simple row, I'm just showing off as example. So just don't think that this is a wrong practice. I'm just showing off how transaction works. ID is equal to this ID. Okay, you got it. Okay, then I'll do transaction rollback, otherwise I'll do commit. Okay, I'll go to main.go in here and I'll do is active false because it was true, right? Okay, let's compile it down. Okay, price updated successfully. Okay, is active is null, it's showing. Okay, and price is 7, but it got updated, right? But we had a null value. Okay, let's check it out. What happened, what went wrong? We'll go to here and we have is active bool is active. Active it is PID. Might want to print that PID in here. I just need to make sure that if that thing is not gone, right? Sorry. Yeah, I'm getting the fault. Okay. Oh, I got the idea, I guess. I think that was the wrong example to do, because what happens in here is uh, false is a false value, right? So that's why I guess. So if I do something like because if you see it's a zero value false is okay. So this, and then I'll do, you have multiple options. Pretty good. They should do it. Let's see. As you can see, it's false now, right? So both the queries ran. Let's try to update the price to why it's not working. I'll tell you, because if you see is active, right? So for any boolean, false is a null value, sorry, zero value. So that's why this driver thinks that it is a null, so that for that you might have to use pointers and everything. Let me know if you get into trouble with those kind of things. I'll try to solve your issue at all. Would be happy to solve that issue. You know where to message me, right? If you see this video, just gotta message me. The price is 9 and this is again false. Okay, so both are updating, right? So transaction is successful. Let's see. Now I would like to fail the transaction. Yeah, so I'll just say something like said this, but this column doesn't exist at all, and I want to update the price to 10. Okay, see, I'm updating price to 10. Okay, I'll just remove this is not required. I'm updating the price to 10, but remember, I'm actually trying to fail this query. So what will happen is it won't update even the price. It shouldn't. It better not. Okay, error while updating is active. So as you can see, price is 9, right? While price should update, if you see two queries, price should update and this should throw an error. This query throw an error, but we did rollback, so now price is 9. So guys, this is how transactions work. This is like a very, very naive example. Don't worry about it, but you got the idea, right? Inside of this transaction begin and commit, you write as many number of queries as you want, but you get into trouble, all you have to do is transaction.rollback and it'll take care of all the rollbacks for you at atomic level, so you don't need to worry about that. So guys, this was transactions. Okay, I see you in the next tutorial.